Hi, my name is Sam and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about a book. It's not going to be a full-on book review like the one that I did over here, and that was my second ever ASMR video. So it's a bit different from now. And that was about the book Lessons in Chemistry, which I highly recommend you either read or watch as a TV series. Today we're going to talk about this book called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. It won't be, again, a full book review. I won't give you many details about the book, but while I was reading it, a topic in it inspired me to make this video. Now, before we start, it would be amazing if you could like this video, subscribe to my channel, and also leave a comment about the video and the book if you've read it. Now, what inspired me is this sentence over here, which reads, "This is the story of Sam and Sadie. It's not a romance, but it is about love." Now, I've made a video over here about my love for maths and sciences in general, and this is what this whole thing is about. Again, I won't give you any spoilers, but suffice to say, Sam and Sadie are game programmers, so they create video games for a living. They start as friends very young, and then they start working together. They never get together romantically, but there is always an element of will they, won't they, and then it becomes clear that they won't, and then the question is, why won't they? That is all I'm going to say. That's all you need to know about the book, but it is a very good book, so I highly recommend you read it. It's a little bit different from other things that I usually read. Usually I gravitate towards psychological thrillers, which become quite samey after a while, but it's not their fault, it's my fault for just reading those. And this was a breath of fresh air because it's about gaming, but you don't have to be into gaming at all. There is a lot of life in, like, normal personal life around the book, in the book. So, why are we talking about this? It is about love, and this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about not just platonic love per se, because obviously between them there is some kind of spark, but yes, I want to talk about mental love. So can we love someone mentally, as in can we be in love with their mind, with the brilliance of their mind? And my answer is yes. And this book got me thinking about my maths teacher. Again, in my video about maths, I talk about how she opened my eyes to why we have maths, what maths is about, and thanks to her, I started loving maths. So for me, maths is a way for us to see how far the human brain can stretch and how much it can conquer. And there is a reason behind the formulas and all the rules that we have in maths, and up until I'd met my this teacher of mine, I didn't realise that. I just thought it was just rules, formulas, you just learn them by heart, get your tests done, and then get your mark and you go. No, I love the logic and the beauty of what lies behind maths and what it represents. So obviously, I mean, I studied languages, so the amount of maths that I had in my secondary school years was very limited. The 3 years that I had her, I had 2 hours of maths a week and 2 hours of physics. The 3rd and the 4th year we did not have physics. In the 5th year, so I only had it for 2 hours in my 5th year. obviously there was no sexual interest. Well, first of all, she's a woman, and I'm gay, so there was never anything like that. But I was blown away and fascinated by her mind. So yes, I think you can love someone's mind, not in a way that would ever, I mean, to be honest, I don't know if that would ever turn into anything, because obviously for me the problem is that, well, I never felt anything more than just admiration because she's a woman, and also she was much older, but nowadays it's not that much of a problem. Maybe if that had been a gay man, maybe my initial love for his mind purely might have turned into something more, I don't know, but my only experience is with a woman. And yes, I was blown away by how her mind worked. As I mentioned in that video, she doesn't really remember any formulas by heart, maybe one or two, but you give her a problem, she will solve it through mathematics, obviously through mathematical logic. Obviously she relies on formulas. She opened my eyes to a whole new world, a whole new perception of maths, and I already liked science in general. I was curious. Obviously I focused mainly on languages anyway, which I still see as a science. That's why I teach English and the language learning process through mathematical logic, which is very geeky, I know. So yes, I have experienced this. You can admire someone's mind, and to the point of falling in love with the mind. And the way it applies to this book is that, of course, there is some kind of potentially romantic connection between them, at least from one of them. Like, there is a romantic interest, but primarily they work together because they appreciate each other as workers, as scientists. They like each other's minds. They can rely on each other. They want to work with each other because they know they can create good stuff, and they are creative people because they build games from scratch. So they need to come up with the idea of what game to create, and then they have to physically produce it and create it with coding and all that stuff. So they like each other's support. Unfortunately, I've never really felt that fully as a worker myself. I studied acting, and actually in my acting school there were a couple of people that I always wanted to work with because we clicked very well, and I knew they would give me something, and I felt something as an actor when I worked with them. Yes, but it was just school, it wasn't an actual job, and it was quite limited in terms of time and how often it happened, and I never had the time to fully explore that connection. It's not like we worked on a TV series for, I don't know, 6 months. It was just one exercise here, one exercise there. But again, that alone was enough for me to understand that there was an extra connection. Again, professional, there was no sexual connection with mainly these girls that I worked with. But yes, I had a taste of it. And then when I worked in hospitality, like every actor, obviously there was no connection there professionally, because I didn't care, and also, I mean, unfortunately, I cared too much about the job, even though I shouldn't have. But hospitality for me, because I didn't do it, it didn't come from my heart. I didn't want to find someone that I clicked with, because I was just there to execute orders, bring this dish there, and that's it. So yes, and also nobody around me cared professionally. When I became a teacher, I only ever worked with other teachers once, and that was for 2 months in a summer school, because other than that, I have never worked in an institution. I've always been a private tutor, online, sometimes in person as well, but I had no connection, no exchange of opinions with other professionals. I only had my students, which were all adults, but again, students. So I've never had another teacher, I've never met another teacher that I would want to work with. And also, as teachers, I'm not really sure you could work with people. You can admire them, you know, if you see how they carry out a class and you appreciate that, you can say, oh yes, they're a good teacher, I like what they come up with, I like the way their mind thinks, yes, but I would then go back to my class on my own. But hey, and when I became a drag queen, there are drag queens that I admire, absolutely. So professionally, yes, I can say that, well, the reason why I'm a drag queen is that the very first drag queen that I ever saw in my life, with no intention of becoming a drag queen myself, she then became my inspiration. So I like, and I'm eternally grateful that she was my first exposure to this world, because had I seen anyone else up on stage, maybe I would not have had that appreciation for drag. So yes, I do appreciate her a lot, talent-wise, but again, we don't interact that much. I mean, and even if we did work together one day, it would be, let's say, at a Pride event, but she does her slot and then I do mine afterwards, but we wouldn't be on the stage together. So yes, I can have professional admiration, but I wouldn't have professional connection. I couldn't put that admiration into practice, if you know what I mean. I couldn't bask in the admiration by literally enjoying it in the moment, by being on stage with her, doing something together. I mean, you can create a drag duo, but that becomes your identity as a drag queen, and that's not what we want. So yes, this was just a little thought about, yes, you can be smitten almost and be in love with the way someone thinks. As you know by now, if you've watched this channel before, I've never been in a relationship, in a romantic relationship, so I don't know what that feels like. But also, obviously, I would be in love with that, well, I would assume that I would also fall in love with the way they think and all of that, but that would be as a person, as an individual. With my maths teacher, I'm talking about, yeah, professional love, as in, as a scientist. That doesn't mean that we would get on personality-wise. I mean, from what I could see, she was a very nice person, but maybe she wouldn't have got on with me. Maybe she would not have liked me if we'd been on the same level, working together, trying to, you know, invent something new or solve a long-standing mathematical problem. So yes, with romantic love, I think it's a bit different. But again, I can't relate to that, so I have no first-hand experience to relay. But speaking of that also got me thinking about romantic love. And maybe I should make a different video about this, but I think it falls into this topic. I'm gay, as you know, and there's no saving me, there's no turning back. You know, you have bisexual people, you have pansexual people, so bisexual people love both men and women, pansexual people love everyone, whether you're male, female, transgender, a drag queen, whatever. They fall in love with the soul rather than the exterior, which I think is amazing. But I've realised this is something that you're born with. So when bisexual people say that, or even, let's make it even more broad, pansexual people say, I don't care if I'm talking to an entity that looks like a man, like a woman, or trans, I just fall in love with the soul. I think it's beautiful, but I think you're born with that gene that makes you open to all these possibilities. I'm gay. I am one of the basic versions of gay where I just like men. There is no way around it. And I think that just means that I wasn't born with that gene that allows me to be open to other possibilities. It's just not in me, so I can't force it. And I have a lot of, actually, I used to have more girl friends, and of course we were friends, so we liked each other enough to be friends. And I had this one colleague, actually she was a waitress, so I'm not talking about professional love, although we did get on well working together. We liked the way we both worked, but again, we were not saving the world, so there was no science involved. I'm sorry I have to keep cutting and starting again, but there are all sorts of noise happening in the moment. So we used to work in a restaurant together. She is bisexual, I'm just gay, and we always joked that if things were different, very different, we would be together, because I have to say, we really got on as friends, and I'd never really felt this before, but when I was with her, I thought if I ever turned straight, I would be with her. Or at least, I would think that if there was one girl that could turn me straight, it would have been her. So I had a weird thought about it, but nothing ever happened anyway, because although I did like her mind to the point where I even made that joke in the first place, so although all of that was happening, it was only ever going to be platonic because she's a girl. So the minute I see a girl, my brain and my heart friend zones her immediately. There is no way out of it. There is no other way. There is no potential for error. So I was just born very gay, with no interest for women. There are some gay guys who potentially wouldn't mind sleeping with a girl maybe once. There are some gay porn actors. So believe it or not, this is the world that not that it's bad, but it's just surprising. So in the past you had straight men who pretended to be gay for porn, what we call gay for pay, so they just have gay sex for the money that they get from these porn videos. But there are also now gay porn actors who make videos with women. Now, primarily they identify as gay. I'm sure there is, maybe they're not bisexual in the sense that they would not sleep with a woman for free. But I don't know, there must be some kind of attraction there, because, yes, a man needs to show his attraction to the partner. And so yes, these things can happen. I don't have that. I was a dancer. I've seen a lot of naked women. I always say that I've seen my unfair share of naked women, and there was never a moment where I thought, you know what, maybe just for today, just to make my mum happy, I get one of these girls. No. So, yes, although this friend of mine is the one that has got me the closest to betraying my true self, it would never have happened. I mean, no, it was just a joke. Yes, I did have that thought every now and then, but it was going to end there. And yes, so I think some people have that in them, so they have that extra openness, which is brilliant. I think it's brilliant. And you know, there are all sorts of things that are being said all the time about bisexual people and bisexual people. We call them greedy and all of that. I disagree with that. If, you know, being gay, being straight, being whatever orientation is not something you can control. So if you're born like that, you're born like that. And my only worry, if I ever were to be with a bisexual man, I wouldn't think that they're greedy. I wouldn't judge them for that. My genuine worry would be, will I always be enough for him? Because he likes men, but he also likes women. And being gay or straight, yes, ultimately boils down to who you are sexually attracted to, but I sort of want to add something to that. For me, like, that's the reason why I like more masculine men, because even a feminine man is still a man biologically. And yes, if I had a gun to my head, I would still sleep with a feminine man rather than a woman. But if I could choose, I would never sleep with a feminine man, just because it's not what I prefer. I will not tolerate any hate comments about this. But that's why I like more masculine men, because I like the idea, not just of their physicality, but also the lifestyle, if you know what I mean. So what a man brings to the table. Oh gosh, I mean, I wish I liked women because they're much more clever, but hey. So I think there is something to be said about just the fact that, you know, you're gay if you ultimately want to sleep with men, which is true, but also for some, I think there is a bit more of an emotional sense to it than just the brutal physical element of being with a man. So with a bisexual person, my only worry would be, would I as a man always be enough? Not just physically, but also in terms of what I give them emotionally. Or would they want to be with a woman every now and then? But if it's just physical, we could agree that that's a deal. But my worry would be on an emotional level, because I can't quite compete with that, although I am very feminine in the way I think. I can see that there are more feminine people, namely women, out there. So that would be my only genuine worry, but it would not be related to the fact that they are greedy sexually. That's not, I don't see them as that. Mine would be a more deep, I don't think, I'm not sure whether I would want an open or a closed relationship. I'm not entirely sure about that, because I don't know how jealous I would be. But if we take out the jealousy that I may or may not have, I don't see any problem with an open relationship. So if it's just a pure physical thing that every now and then he needs a woman, fair enough. But I don't feel threatened by it, but I would feel threatened by the potential need for an emotional connection with a female person. So yes, that's my whole thought process behind loving someone's mind, and how it then can turn into potential love or not, that I don't know. But I think it's brilliant to appreciate someone's mind like that on a professional and scientific level. scientific because we're talking about science. If it's about, history, it's still, knowledge rather than just science. So yes, let me know in the comments if you've ever been in a situation like the one in the book, or like in one, like the one with me and my teacher, or me and my colleague and friend. And since the drilling outside doesn't seem to want to stop, you're lucky, and I will let you go fairly easily today. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.